It was September of 2004. I was a sophomore in high school, sitting in my robotics class doing CAD designs, and my classmate Boris hands me a manga volume 1, of a series called Ranma One Half. Why can I remember it so vividly? Because it is a core memory. This manga is insane. It was created by Rumiko Takahashi. She's known for Urusei Yatsura that ran from 78 to 87, Aisai Kaku that ran from 1980 to 87, Inuyasha that ran from 96 to 2008, Rinne that ran from '09 to 2017, and Rama One Half, which is my favorite work of hers, which ran from 1987 to 1996. What is it? It is a battle manga, technically. It's martial arts. Ranma Saotome is a teenage martial artist who, during a training trip in China, falls into a cursed springs with his father. And as a result, anytime he's hit with cold water, he turns into a girl. And when he's hit with hot water, he turns back. And his father turns into a panda. It's a comedy, of course. But like I said, it's martial arts, there's story. And he was promised his hand in marriage to his father's fellow martial artist who he trained with, the Tendo family, and their youngest daughter, Akane. So she's strong willed and kind hearted, but they clash. So it's pretty funny with all the hijinks that he goes through. And like I said, she's the youngest. There's two older siblings, two older sisters of hers. But the main thing I want you to know, before I go more into it, let me tell you about the volumes. So, like I said, it ran from 87 to 1996. And in 2004, there was a volume in English that I was able to read. It had 38 volumes. It sold over 55 million copies worldwide. So, those are good numbers. But here's the thing. Let's talk anime. So, as I said, it started in 87, but then in 1989, 2 years in, they go, you know what? This needs an anime. Here's 18 episodes. This was pretty good. You know what? In 1989, again, we're going to do a second series of it with 143 episodes. It ran from 89 to 1992. So that's 161 episodes total. There's three theatrical films, and then there's 12 OV episodes. But here's the thing. 2024 happens, and Netflix like, yo, we're rebooting it. Why? Because that's how great the show is. It is the first manga that made me want to read more. And there's fan comics of it. I went online back in the day and found fan comics continuing the story and things like that. And like I said, his father's cursed, he's cursed. Guess what? There's more people that's cursed in it. Ryoga, his rival, his Sasuke, as the youngins say now. Guess what? When he's hit with cold water, he turns into a little black pig. And with that, he becomes Akane's pet. And it's the whole thing. And there's literally a whole fight that happens. And Ryoga becomes stronger than Ranma because of a silly tattoo spiral he has on his stomach. It's hijinks. And as I said, you need to read it or watch it because it's comedy, but great martial art fights as well. One quirk Ranma has is when he was younger, when he saw a cat, he would lose it. He hates cats. And Shampoo, who's a Chinese martial artist that wants to marry Ranma, basically Akane's rival in this, she turns into a cat when splashed with cold water. And Moose wants to marry Shampoo, and guess what? When he gets splashed, he turns into a goose because they all went there to get stronger and they fell into these little puddles because it's not just one cursed pond, it's thousands. And the main character you guys have to look out for is Happo Sai. That is Ranma's father's master and also Akane's father's master. Happosai, he's a strong martial artist. The only problem is he's a pervert. He's like the typical Japanese pervert with the panties on his head. He goes to steal panties, but he's so small. It's hilarious, but so strong. So, like I said, this, if you read it, you'll get over certain tropes because it's from the 80s, but it's so well written. The battles are great. The comedy still hits today to this day, and Netflix reboots it. Why? Because it's that golden. Have I put you off it? Maybe, because you might not be into gender bender, things like that. But give it a read, and it'll change your life. Because, like I said, this is 1980s. This came out 1987 to 1996. She just finished two of her greatest works, and she comes out with this banger after banger after banger. And without this, who knows what we have in Inuyasha. But that's it for this episode of Manga with Josh. And definitely pick up this series and let me know what you think.